This week on We Played a Game, we use 4 elemental forces to fight the ultimate evil. And no, I'm not talking about Final Fantasy, and they probably have their lawyers on standby.
Hey everyone, and welcome to We Played a Game, a Team Retro podcast where we like retro games and the devices that bring them to us. My name is Mikhailov, and with me is my good buddy, Nefarious Ways.
That's me.
How you doing, Nefarious?
I made it through another day, so I'm happy. How about you?
I am sleep deprived,
Yes, you are.
so I got about 3, 4, 5 hours of sleep. Pick
Could
one
be
of
worse.
those numbers. It's probably somewhere in there,
As long as we're close.
as long as we're close. So we played a game.
We did.
Would you like to talk about it a little bit?
I definitely would. So this week we played Crystalis. Mikhailov, let me ask you something. What were you doing in the year 1997?
1997, I was a sophomore in high school playing a lot of Chrono Trigger on the NES,
Mm-hmm.
rented, not
Mhm.
bought because my father would
Mhm.
not buy it, but he would rent it.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say 97 was about when I got the N64 too.
Let me ask you something. Were you preparing for the end of the world?
I was not preparing for the end of the world. We had to wait till 1999 for that.
A shame. Because today in Crystalis, in 1990, we had a game come out from a company known as SNK. And they predicted the end of the world. SNK is an incredible company, by the way. They're the ones we can thank for Neo Geo, and they're best known for a few other games. Do you know what games SNK is actually like primo known for making?
Fatal Fury, King of Fighters,
King of Fighters and Samurai Showdown fighting games, right? And
and
they
beat 'em
come out.
ups,
That's right, beat 'em ups,
and
fighting
beat 'em
games.
ups too.
Anything
Yeah,
where they beat up, yeah, right. It's like that was SNK's thing. They
yeah,
went ahead and dipped their toes into an action RPG for NES. In 1990, it came out, and people didn't really see us coming. So my imagination went forward, and I imagine they took a weekend and decided to play Zelda and Dragon Warrior for one weekend, and they just kind of like became inspired. Exactly. And what do you get when you get these two games? Well, from Poisonous Forest to like Imperial Armies, it tries its best to fight with Zelda, but doesn't quite succeed. But anything that comes close to taking on that genre, I'd say it's pretty braggable. I assume you played both those games, Zelda and Dragon Warrior,
I've played and beaten both of those games.
and you played Crystalis because we played this game, didn't we?
I did play Crystalis. Do you want to hear what I played it on?
I do.
All right. So let me ask you a question now.
Yeah.
You asked me some questions. It's my turn.
Oh no.
How much
Mm.
do you think a loose copy of Crystalis for the NES cost?
Well, given my experience at RetroCon, I'm gonna say it's about $20.
You would be.
Although, would I be right though? Because I paid 15.
Yes, you did.
Yes, I did.
So should I show the clip?
As long as it makes me look good, I have to allow you.
All right. I'm going to show the clip.
Okay.
So about 2 hours in, we found it.
By we mean me.
Yeah, you, this guy right here. Look at that price.
I would have jumped at it, but I'm what you call an idiot, and the quality of it. I just need something prettier. My standards are just.
Your
just
standards
too
are
high.
ridiculously high, and you know mine are horribly low.
This is why you won this. This
So
is my gift to
this
you.
one's fine for me because
Yeah.
it's for the collection. It's something that I'm going to hold up on the podcast when we record it in a couple days.
So I'm gonna probably do the real smart thing and go on Macari and spend double to find this.
You're going to get it in a box.
Can't wait to find a box.
So the hunt continues because we are looking for a Game Boy Color copy of this game as well.
Double the price, half the quality.
Yeah, dude.
I'm so smart.
You, the mastermind,
I don't know.
found the first copy of the game,
Yeah.
beat up. We're like, hey, Michaela, why don't you take this one?
I'm a generous
Now-
guy.
Now, what was the reason I jumped. Why did I jump at that?
My guess, having been there with you, I assume desperation.
We had pretty much perused almost all the vendors at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think between you and I, we got the only copies of Crystalis in that entire expo.
Oh yeah. I'm willing to say that with confidence because you and I went around that circuit a couple times. I'm willing to bet we actually probably passed those guys that had Crystalis and just missed it initially.
Probably because we were so desperately looking for it that
Yeah. Yeah.
we were frantic. Like that was our goal. That was our primo goal of going to this con.
The things we do for gaming.
So that first copy that you just saw in the clip, I grabbed it. You were like, "Here, Mikhail, why don't you take this one? It's a little. My standards are ridiculously high because I'm a spoiled only child, so
Yep. Yeah.
I'm gonna pass on it. Why don't you buy it?" And I'm like, "Okay." Price charting, which brings us to price charting, goes for $18.91 loose. So I'm just gonna grab it. You, with your 20 charisma stat, and which I'm pretty sure also has class bonuses.
Oh man, if only.
Find another vendor that has it. And not only is it in better shape, but you paid $15. And just like that, he gets a better copy for less.
All it takes is a little bit of haggling, a little bit of patience, and I can get one for $5 less. They're out there. Never underestimate yourself, kids.
And mine's beat the heck. His is pristine. You win this round.
It's about time I won something.
I just had to talk. I had to try.
So how much do you think this game is loose for Game Boy Color?
Given how terrible it is, I would assume they give it away as charity. Am I close?
Not even. You ready for this one, Nefarious?
I'm sitting.
You're about to be blown away.
I can't wait.
This game costs, according to pricecharting.com on 9/6/2024 at 3:41 p.m.,
Mm-hmm.
$44.38 loose.
Not to jump too far ahead, kids, but when we start talking about this game, you're going to understand why that price is borderline evil for this game. We'll get to it, I promise. But stay tuned. Oh my god!
What did I do?
Oh, you had to get it.
I had to get it.
You had to. And now you know what? No judgment, no shame for Mikhail because the man needed it in his collection. I dodged it because, well, we'll get to it. We will get to it.
We'll get to it.
Yeah.
But you don't have to spend either of those.
Good.
If you want to not emulate this game, because we know that's an option, you can actually get this as part of the SNK 40th Anniversary Collection on Steam for $29.99 regular price.
Now, that ain't terrible.
That's not to say that it's not going to go on sale, because you know how Steam is.
Yeah, Christmas is coming.
So you can probably get that cheaper. And you can get it digitally in the comfort of your own home, and you can play it on a Windows handheld, such as this one right here.
Look at that beauty.
This is the device of the podcast, the Ioneo Air 1S. First of all, look how small it is.
It's little. Oh, it's comfy looking. Oh my god, look at the grip.
It's little. It's comfy. It's got a nice little grip to it. This is my before bed handheld right now.
Oh, okay, that's a good one.
This is where I play my little indie games, like I'll play Crystalis, I'll play Dave the Diver, Balatro, like any of those little quick games that you're okay falling asleep for, and you just want to have your brain do a little something before bed. This thing is great. Battery life not the best. I would say 3 hours most. But it is the best out of all of the Ioneo devices that I have used.
Okay.
The only exception being the Ioneo Pocket Air, which is an Android device, so I wouldn't really count that because the battery life requirements of that is a completely different beast.
Gotcha.
Running Android versus running Windows. You're running a cell phone operating system versus running a full-blown PC operating system. They're two different beasts.
See ya.
But for a half hour, 40 minutes before bed. Mint, comfy, good travel handheld.
Hmm.
Like if you're going to take it on a plane, you got an outlet next to you. Beautiful. And it's got an OLED screen.
Alrighty.
5.5-inch OLED screen. Better than a Switch Lite.
Hmm.
All right. First impressions. What did you feel when you started this game for the first time?
Well, you see, my impressions started before that. So
Okay.
when I first started up, the first thing that hit me was the plot you're getting into. And to begin this whole thing, we have to, there's a reason I brought up 1997. I thought this whole thing was hilarious. So this game was made in 1990. The game takes place in the incredibly distant year of 1997, which is known as the End Day. Nuclear war has destroyed the world, and we are ushering in a world of mutants to overtake the world. And I thought that was hilarious because it's a testament to the developers' faith in humanity that in 1990, they thought we had a cool 7 years left to play with. And that was going to be the end of the world, which is why I ask you in 97, I didn't think things were that bad. I really didn't, but
I
the
could
developers
argue
screwed.
that the 90s was the end of the world because that was peak living.
No, there's no argument. You're right. 80s, 90s, that
Yeah.
was the best time to be alive. That was humanity's peak and our apex. Anyone that is born in the 2000s, I'm sorry, you missed it.
Mm.
But in this game, humanity has regressed into a medieval society, losing all technology, but gaining a little bit of magic here and there. And to prevent disasters, survivors have made an enormous floating tower, it's a story that's been done. That's been done pretty well here. This tower is complete with weapons to protect the world and guide humanity away from the ever-looming evil of world destruction. And all is really great until our villain appears, and his name is Dragon or Dragon or Dragon. But there's a Y there, so it's not a dragon. And he takes over
Well,
this
this
tower.
is a boss that really drags on.
And you know what? Once you find him, you're not wrong with that joke.
Mm.
So he takes over the tower. He's got magic and technology, and he's off to take over what's left of our destroyed world. And I'm going to be asking you. I have a really funny question to ask you. I hope it's
All
not the
right.
answer I think.
Okay.
But when the game starts in the beginning, you remember you're awakened from a cryogenic sleep and to this post-apocalyptic world without any memory. And again, this is a plot that's also been done where you are the nameless protagonist and you are a chosen one. You know, Skyrim and any Bethesda game, truth be told.
Breath of the Wild.
Breath of
You
the
wake-
Wild.
You wake
Breath
up
of the
from
Wild.
cryo sleep and end up in a destroyed world that's
Oh,
gone medieval.
The only difference being there really is that you know who you are, and that is it. Yeah, this is a
No,
plot that's
Link
been
loses
done.
his memory
But does he
in
know
Breath
he's
of the
Link?
Wild. He knows he's Link because
That's
Zelda
it.
says, Link, open your eyes. But
Yep.
that's it. But in Crystalis, you also know your name because you choose it.
And that is
one of the
my
first thing you do
point.
is
So that is my
choose
point.
your name.
And there's my question. So
Yeah.
you begin as your nameless protagonist, and you are you, guided by 4 sages in the world. Mikhail, what was your name in the game?
You only really get like 4 or 5 letters.
You get more than that.
I think I just went with Mike. Mikhailov shortened.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I just went with Mike.
I have a name I use when it's a game I'm not sure about, and I just kind of like put it in there just to see how it goes.
Is it Doofus?
It is not Doofus. It's close though. So in your game, Mike went ahead and saved the world. In my game, the grand hero Spanky saved the world.
Mike did not save the world,
Oh,
unfortunately.
that's right. Well, you'll get to it. Spanky saved the world and made it all better.
I have this horrible habit of not being able to finish games. It's
you're not
bad. It's bad.
So,
there is no reason. How Time to Beat pegs this as like a 6-7 hour game. There's no reason I couldn't beat it.
We're old.
We are old, but you beat it.
Our lives are a little different. When you play this game, did you again, I mean, we are ancient people, like I just said. You played top-down action RPGs before, right? The first game that came to my mind was Zelda, because that's exactly, you can't lie to me. The developers have talked about this being a game that is absolutely inspired by Zelda. Did you not get the vibe of Dragon Warrior?
No.
Really?
The only reason I didn't is because this is an action RPG. So
yeah, it's a
in
good
Dragon
point.
Warrior, refresh my memory. Does Dragon Warrior have the bad guys on screen and you just run
No,
into them,
no,
or
it's
is it
like Final.
random?
It's
It's
Final
like Final
Fantasy.
Fantasy.
Like, yeah, you go there, screen flashes, and there you go.
Okay. So no, I didn't get Dragon Warrior vibes at all, except for the part where your character levels up and you do need to grind. The vibes
Mhm.
I actually got from this game is from a series that you haven't played called called Ease, YS.
It's funny you say that. The developers actually mentioned that game as well.
Really?
Zelda and I pronounce it wise, but yeah, ease.
Mm.
They say it's very much so it's very cool you bring that up because they say that it was actually taken a lot from that game.
I need to let you borrow my copy of Ease 8.
I actually have Ease 8. Oh, okay. I was
Yeah.
gonna say I have some old ones, but
When
not
I
the new one.
when I say this is peak Ease, game is a masterpiece. You know I don't throw that word around lightly.
Peakies.
So I have a Switch copy. I should let you borrow it.
Okay.
But
So what did you what was your first impression? Well, actually, we just did first impression. What did you think of the
well, we
actual
did
overall?
yours. We didn't do mine.
I was gonna say, what is your overall thinking?
So I turned it on for the first time, and yeah, I would say I felt like it was a Ys game. And the only reason I didn't connect it to Zelda or Dragon Warrior is because of the leveling up and
Oh
the
well,
having to grind enemies at the beginning for gold.
Mhm.
What I felt set this game apart from those games are the different weapons. And you start off with the Sword of Wind, and you start off in a starting area where the enemies are damaged by the Sword of Wind. And then as you progress through the game, which you may not be able to do without a guide because the story progression is very reminiscent of its time. As you progress through the game, you will get other swords because you are going to start to find that there are enemies that your Sword of Wind is not damaging. And so progressing the story gets you 3 other elemental swords, as well as access to magic and some other items like a gas mask or boots that help you jump. All of that somehow managed with just 2 face buttons and a D-pad. Like, in order to save in this game, you have to press start twice.
It's
In
funny you
in
say
in
that
the
because I thought it
at
was
the
I thought it was
time,
selected start.
oh, maybe it is selected start. You have to go into your items menu. And
Yeah,
then
it's
from your
select start.
items
Yeah.
menu, you have to press start, and then you could save from there.
Do you know how many
And
times
that
I accidentally hit load when that happened?
yeah, that the save system is really weird, and not having I didn't play this with a guide at all, which is another reason why I only got so far.
Yeah, you did. He's sitting
I,
right here.
oh yeah, that's true. For context, there were a couple of times during our professional development right before we started our school year where we were just kind of sitting around, Nefarious and I next to each other, and I was playing
Being
on
irresponsible.
this, which you could attest to. You've seen this bad boy before.
Uh-huh. Because
And
you were there. Yeah.
I was like, "Nefarious, what how do I do that?" And you're like, "Really?" And I'm like, "Yeah. How do you do it?" Go and then I go start the dwarves and telepathy and
I'll be
oh,
getting
okay.
into that. I'll be getting into that.
Uh no time like the present.
You know what? I like your style.
Mm.
Mikhail's right. Like the thing about this game is that it disguises hand holding for you. You will start off with the Sword of Wind, but in rapid succession, you will end up with a total of 4 swords. Hence the 4 elements idea we had there. You will have wind, you will have fire, you will have lightning, and you'll have ice. Notice how earth isn't there, so that's how they dodge the Final Fantasy thing, I bet. But
Mm.
not just elemental problems. Enemies will actually become immune to you depending on what level you are. And you find this out pretty rapidly once you meet the bosses. The max level of this game is 16. That may not seem like much, but leveling takes a while.
It does.
And it's,
Takes a long time.
it takes a little
Can
while.
I interject for a second?
Please do.
So there was a point in this game where it actually level gated me. I went to
Yeah.
go into now I kind of knew because you told me
Mhm.
to go up to a cabin that was in the north of the woods. And there I would have to like arm wrestle or play tug of war or something with an NPC, and then that's how you get the I think that's how you get telepathy?
Mhm.
That's how you get telepathy, right?
That's
Okay.
right.
So I go to follow your direction and go up there, comes up with a message. You are not strong enough to reach this point.
They're pretty direct about it, aren't they?
Yeah.
There.
It basically said, like, basically, cut the crap, go back where you came from, and kill some crap, you weakling.
You know what's funny? That's merciful, actually. You didn't get far
Yeah.
enough in the game where that's done for bosses, and the way you find out isn't on a handy dandy message like it's a wall, like don't go here, can't hurt the boss. You enter the boss arena, start fighting the boss, and realize you're not damaging it, and your options include resetting the game or waiting for it to kill you. I had that happen the hard way.
That's rough. Especially if you're not playing this with a guide.
Oh, yeah. The best part is I read plenty of testimonials that the way people found this out was during the last boss. Because besides being level gated, you must be max level to be able to damage this. You need 2 particular items to even scratch the boss. If you don't have them, even if you are max level, he kills you. This was eventually fixed in the Anniversary Edition you mentioned, but in the original, you don't damage. And you're going to be the worst part about this whole thing is now I'm giving a lot of crap about this game right now. Don't worry. My praise is coming. You can't figure this out because the noise, the damaging noise and the music and the sound effects kind of mesh. So you're not entirely sure you're damaging it. I spent almost 10 minutes in a corner fighting a boss and I didn't realize I wasn't damaging it because my mind just wandered. Eventually I figured it out and I let him mercifully kill me.
And that was the end of Spanky's adventure.
No, he got up and got stronger. That's right, Mikhailov. I will tell you this, and I'm sure Mikhailov will agree with me on this. I'm going to give you a free pro tip here on this one. You have options with your weapons to slash like a melee or charge attack and fire your element out. Let me tell you right now, you want to charge that attack constantly, and you never, ever want to go into melee. Ever.
Well, I would slightly disagree with you.
You will be wrong the second I tell you about later levels.
I'm not talking about later levels. I'm talking about when you have to backtrack and you're like really overpowered.
Oh, just run through them.
Yeah, then you just melee them to death. But no, if you are equal or you are at a later point in the game, no, you back off, you charge, you launch. And that is how you don't die.
I'll even say further, if you have to backtrack, dodge the enemies. They're not worth the XP.
That's true too. Don't even bother hitting them unless you need like 2 extra gold.
And you won't, because eventually triple digits matter more than single digits, as with all.
Yeah.
But in addition to this mentioning that Mikhail made of immunity with elements, this gets particularly hazardous around the third act of the game. When you have a set of enemies and you'll have 3 coming at you all at once with 3 different elemental weaknesses. And
there's no easy way to change weapons.
Well, I was just about to
say. You
have
to press select. Yeah, I know. I cut you off because I knew you were going to say it. I predicted.
You did. And you accused me of cutting you. You accused me of cutting you off. My goodness. Please, let's timestamp this.
Okay.
But he's right. He's right, though. Nowadays, we are so flattered to have our buttons that press us right there and they switch the swords. You have to go right to your items menu and you have to switch. This becomes incredibly cumbersome. Some enemies mercifully take like half damage or whatnot, but this gets incredibly tedious in dungeons. And top of that, besides random immunities, the death of you will be flying creatures. I hope everyone here played Ninja Gaiden Castlevania because these things will fly out of nowhere in later levels. Oh, the bats are nothing.
The bats, the insects. Those are the ones that I encountered, and they drove me crazy.
Let me introduce you to the gargoyles.
Early game.
The gargoyles will not only just fly in, they will fly in, shoot projectiles, and keep moving. Now, please imagine that times 3. These are things worth lots of XP, though, so it may be worth your time to sit there and wait the patterns out, but I just kept moving. I had to get him off screen. The other thing that Mikhailov just introduced himself to, because he stopped around the game and this got introduced. The 2 elements that you want to avoid are status effects, and they are paralyzed and poisoned. Now, Mikhailov, you're probably like me. You get poisoned in games, usually you wait it out like, eventually it'll just lower my life, but if I keep healing, it'll be okay.
Permanent in this game.
Yes, exactly. Poison will kill you. You either get rid of it or you die. Paralyzed is worse. If you're paralyzed, you can't do your charge attack. So you might as well be dead. because in later levels, if you can't shoot a projectile, you're a sitting duck.
Now, there are items and spells that can help you with this.
Oh, yeah. Spells in particular.
But one thing I have to say about the spells, telepathy, I want to go back to that for a second, actually. If I
Go
may.
for it. You might.
That is a very, very interesting spell.
It's a
Because-
necessary spell.
It's a necessary spell because you cannot progress through the game without it, because you need to talk to some dwarves at some point, and whether they don't understand you and can't talk to you. So when you meet them for the first time, they only say 3 words. Go in peace.
Weird thing for people that are xenophobic to say, but okay.
Well, somebody must have taught them that that's the human way to say GTFO.
That makes sense now.
Because once you actually get telepathy and you can understand them and they can understand you, the stuff that comes out of their mouth, oh my word.
Yeah, they're not a fan of humans. The other
Yeah.
thing about telepathy spell, which if you continue playing the game, Kev, which I pray you do, you're going to love this. The developers put this in as kind of like a guidance system. This has got a classic NES progression problem where guesswork and intuition is kind of thrown out. It's just not there. Things aren't obvious. The progression is made with telepathy. You get 4 sages throughout the game. And as you collect them, you can ask them questions. For the small price of some magic points, you cast telepathy and they give you this vague, riddled answer of how to progress in the game. Let me promise you, though, this is still not an answer to your problems.
Right.
I shamelessly used a guide because some of the answers are like, you must go to the place where there flame meets the sky. What are you talking about? You might think that's a mountain, huh? It's not. So the other idea with these items that Mikhail touched upon, they help you progress in the game. The ice sword will freeze lava so you can make bridges. The wind sword knocks down walls. This kind of stuff is needed. There are certain enemy walls that need to be destroyed with fire. You don't know that unless you try or talk to the sages, or as your humble gamer right here, use the internet, which again brings us back to the theme of our show. How did people survive without game facts?
And how did people play this game in 1990? There's a reason this game is short.
Yeah, well, the award was going to end in 7 years. They had to get to the point.
Also true, but this game is short because it's confusing. Like, if you don't have a guide, you are bumbling around for a lot longer than the actual playtime of this game, trying to figure it out. Now, to be fair, that is also a positive for the time period, because that would be what spawned discussion at recess, on the playground, or in between classes or whatever. Like, you had to talk to your friends and find out the secrets, or you had to subscribe to Nintendo Power, which I don't know if Nintendo Power ever covered Crystalis.
It probably did. Be crazy if it didn't.
But or I didn't do my research on this, but there had to have been a player's guide.
There was.
Okay. You would have needed to go to Barnes and Noble and buy that, or Borders, depending on what part of the country you're in.
So we give this game a lot of grief, but I'm going to tell you right now, in terms of old school gaming and top-down RPG action, this was an incredible experience. This was something I rarely heard of, but it comes to the combat system, the overarching theme and story, it was incredibly well done. You meet characters along the way. There's some really elements in the game that make things a little easier in terms of communication with other NPCs. This was an absolute gem of a game for the NES. Now, I want to make this clear. I want you to hear my words on this. I genuinely think the NES version of this game was well-played masterpiece on the NES title. I think it takes elements from exceptional games of the era and it gives you an overarching great experience, including story. That being said, they decided to make this game even more convenient on the Game Boy Color. I need to tell you how terrible this is. And the best way to do that,
a little bit of it.
And the best way to do that is to let you know what I saw as Mikhailov played this for the first time in live person versus. He picked it up. I watched him play it. I wish I could tell you the story of his facial expressions, but I'm going to leave him to do it. Because Mikhailov, can you tell me really quickly, what do you love about getting experience? Do you like to see that journey? Do you like to see the
I
numbers go up, the
I
line go
like
across?
to have a visible status bar, which in the Game
Uh-huh.
Boy Color version is gone. You want to hear something funny?
Every day.
I didn't know that there was an experience bar in the NES version. I saw numbers down there. I didn't pay attention to them until I was actually playing this game on Discord with the Steam Machine people, and Willie, one of the Steam Machine hosts, was watching me play, and he's like, "You're about to level up," and I was like, "How do you know?" And he was like, "Dude, it's right on the screen." And then I felt like a complete and total idiot.
Well,
So,
don't be shameful. You're bad at games. It's
but if
okay.
that never happened, I would have played the Game Boy Color version and it wouldn't have made a difference because I was used to not looking at the experience. I was just used to grinding until the notification came up. But because I became aware that that was in the NES version, I missed it in the Game Boy Color version.
Mm-hmm. Makes a big difference, doesn't it?
Yeah. The music stinks on the Game Boy Color version. They changed it. They changed the music. Like, and I'm not just talking about you have one less sound channel on the Game Boy Color versus the NES. I'm talking about they completely changed the music.
I'll say the music was fairly repetitive, even the NES version. I was there for the story. I mean, the boss music doesn't change. The overarching world doesn't change. It was
So
okay.
I, from that point of view, I could kind of understand it. But if you change the music, you should make it better.
Yeah, well, you can carry it around and play a terrible game if you wanted to on Game Boy Color.
Yeah, but I mean, I will say some positives about it. For the time period, having the ability to experience this game portably was a plus.
Mm,
And if you had to make some compromises back then to do it, I could understand why somebody would want to. Here
yeah.
in 2024, we have so much stuff that could play the NES version. We have our PC, we have Steam, we have emulators. There really is no reason to have to make that sacrifice. If you're going to play this game, you need to play the NES version. That is the definitive edition, and that's the version that they put on the SNK collection. So even SNK believes that this is a definitive edition of this game.
Yes, indeed.
Now, I do want to talk about some positives really quick because I feel like we've been trashing this.
I actually feel bad about this. Game was a
Yeah.
fantastic game.
Yeah, we're nitpicking at all of the stuff that made it not a good Zelda or a good Dragon Warrior game. But on its own, it had a somewhat decent story. It had decent plot progression. Um the music does get catchy, even though it does kind of wear out a little bit. It's decent music. When I
Eh,
played it and when we were leaving work after I finished playing, I was humming the music like as we were walking to our car.
eh.
So I mean it did stick with me. But no, I do like the attempt here, and I do think the game is a worthwhile play. And I do think some of the mechanics are great if they were to get a little bit of quality of life improvements. Like if SNK decided to make this an HD 2D remake and throw some quality of life improvements in there, like being able to change the weapons on the fly, maybe having maybe not so much quick access to the items, but maybe like tweaking the experience a little bit, doctoring up the effects, making the music better, like all the little things, fixing, some of the battle mechanics and all that. This game would be an A+ game. Like
Well,
if they remade this game in 2024 as an HD 2D remake, I would buy it, I would play it, I would love it.
I mean, its reception was really well. I mean, if we're going to go by receptions when it first came out, IGN rated Crystalis number 42 on its list of top 100 NES games. It gave it an overall rating of 8 out of 10. So this did not fail by any stretch. And then a full 15 years later, December 2005, Nintendo Power ranked the NES Crystalis as 115 out of 200 best games ever to appear on a Nintendo system. I mean, this game ranked solidly as a middle playable game, and it was constantly compared, like you said, to Ys and Legend of Zelda. So it was not a failing by any stretch of the imagination.
I
So
think
if you
unfortunately go ahead. Sorry, finish your
no
thought.
no I was going to ask you right away. Like, I mean, given what I just read you, like with Nintendo's rankings, What's yours? Like, did you get an overall good vibe? Where are you
I
putting
got
this
an
one?
I did get an overall good vibe. I think as a whole, the package as a whole is a decent game,
Yeah,
and is a somewhat fun game.
yeah.
I think Crystalis's problem is it is competing with the games that it's trying to be influenced by.
I'll give you that.
So that's where it loses some of its charm
Yeah,
because you could play a game that's like Zelda, or you can go play Zelda.
that's a good point.
Yeah. So I'm going to give this game a solid 6 dwarves out of 10 smelly humans.
That was a they did call us smelly. I'll give you that one.
Yeah. They actually when you translated when you were able to translate what they were saying, it was not go in peace. It was get out of here, you smelly human, you stink.
To their defense, most humans do smell.
I mean, we all do.
Mm. I'm kind of on level with that one. I have to give it a little of a higher ranking, and here's why. I found myself doing something I haven't been done in years, and that's making maps. Those dungeons get really involved, and they're very old school NES. And I found myself just naturally picking up a piece of paper and charting courses. I love doing that. I did it in Star Tropics. I did it in other games, and the fact that I was pulled into a story from a game that's so old and so basic on its face, I loved it, and I found myself enjoying the combat, which is a huge plus in my world because I'm a combat-oriented guy when it comes to
Yeah,
video
the
games.
gameplay loop was really fun.
I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So if we're gonna rank this out of from a 1 to 10 on anything, I'm happy to give this game a. What did you do? You did 6.
It's 6 dwarves out of 10 smelly humans.
I'll take one of those dwarves. I will slice him in half, and I will say we're going to give this boy a 6.5. Dwarves. I'll go with yours. 6.5 dwarves out of 10 smelly humans. I would have pushed it to a 7, but for one glaring point, it is not the difficulty, it's not the flying creatures, is nothing like that. Is the ability that this game of combat revolves around 4 elements, and switching between them stops the gameplay in motion and makes you just do that. And it's constant. I know you didn't
Yeah.
get to the point where you have all 4 blades, but you need to imagine the constant switching that happens when you have 4 elements at play, and the way you do it is stopping gameplay. It's a glaring mistake. I'm surprised it wasn't fixed, but it wasn't enough to make
It's
it go
really annoying because
below a
I
6.
mean, I know SNES or NES, I'm sorry, NES was limited in its buttons, but button combo. Why can't it be a button combo? Hold B and press
Select.
left and right.
Select.
Select.
Yeah.
And then,
Well,
how would you access your items then?
start.
Start. So what did start do again? I don't
I don't
remember.
remember. I don't remember either. I'm sure someone in the comments will remind us though.
Yeah, I don't remember what start.
And by the
did.
way, and thank you, commenter, for letting me about that what the start button does. I owe you a burger.
Yeah. Get him a good burger, not McDonald's.
Oh no, homemade.
Homemade. Oh, you make some good burgers.
We're gonna start that up soon.
Yeah. Can't wait.
All right.
You ready to get into some viewer questions?
Let's hear them.
So, I wasn't going to do this one, but
Oh,
you just mentioned burgers. So
I
now
did.
I feel like I have to.
Okay.
This is from Jeff.
Hi, Jeff.
It's the time of barbecue. What is your favorite food to grill?
Oh, I go between 2 things. I love grilling burgers. I think there's an art to it, especially if you're adding cheese. It's the seasoning, the toast in the bun. I just think there's an art to it. But if I had to go for a close second, we're going steak.
Those are my 2.
I mean, what
Those
else
are
could
my
there
2.
possibly? I imagine some people could throw ribs into that equation, but steak and burgers, man, you can't go wrong with the basics.
I mean, ribs, I feel, are more of a smoke than a grill.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
Now, I have a grill with a charcoal side that I've never used.
Charcoal. Propane. all
Yeah,
day.
but I want to use it for one reason and one reason only. Slow cooked ribs.
Yeah, maybe you have something there.
Yeah. That's the only thing I would use it for. Everything else propane.
Give you.
I know that's very like New Englander of me, but you know, at the same time. I knew a friend I had a friend who swore by charcoal all day. He hated propane.
Oh, you don't talk to those people.
Yeah. All right. From Ban,
Hey, Ben.
how many games have you beat in 2024?
Oh my God. Do you have that number already? Because I'm counting in my head, and we both know I suck at math.
Your number?
Do you have your own number?
I beat Remake. I beat Nexomon Extinction. I beat Final Fantasy 14 Endwalker and Dawn Trail. I'm counting them as 2 separate games.
Wait, what? You can't count those as 2?
They're 100 hours each, dude. Come on.
Okay, fine.
Um, I beat a couple others too, but now I feel like I've lost them. No, I'm just gonna say with those 4 because I don't
I
remember what else I beat.
got me wondering too. Well,
You beat
I beat
Elden Ring.
Crystalis. I beat Elden Ring 2 years ago. I
Oh,
beat Crystalis. I beat MK1 Story, which yes, I know, but whatever, it counts. I beat Tekken 8 Story. I beat Final Fantasy Remake Part 2.
that's my next one.
I beat Endwalker from Final Fantasy 14. Throw it out there.
Yeah, that counts. It's a 100-hour game.
I also beat something else. I could have sworn. I'll stick to those 5 too, because if it can't
Yeah.
come to mind immediately, maybe it was a game that
Well,
beat and it wasn't worth my time.
The others I've played, I've not yet beaten. Like I want to say like almost halfway through Super Mario RPG, the remake, and I just kind of stopped playing. I need to go back to that one.
You say that a
I
lot.
have. I know. I have a problem. It's called Final Fantasy 14, the critically acclaimed MMO.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I'm gonna say 4.
Okay.
Last one from Nate.
Hi, Nate.
Why do you think Crystalis, the best action RPG on the NES, seems so lost to time compared to other games on the system? I think we covered this.
We might have. I have issue with best of all time. I think there's a lot of titles that are going to give that a run for its money. Why it's lost to time is really simple. It's in the rankings. This came in every ranking. Check IGN, check Metacritic, check Nintendo Power. This game for the past few decades has ranked right in the middle. And like the middle child of any family, it's forgotten. Doesn't mean it doesn't have any talent, hope, and dreams. And it's still a great game, but it's competing and inspired by Zelda. And there's other games out there too. I mean, in the early 90s, Mikhail mentioned at one point that he was playing Chrono Trigger. Do you honestly believe people even remember how to spell Crystalis after Chrono Trigger came out?
Got Frog back here.
Yes, and I have Kefka made by our friend.
By the way, do you have our friends?
Oh
Do you
yeah,
have our friends' information?
I
Or
do
shop?
not. I do not. Not on me. No.
I don't have the business card either. This is
No,
a
we'll get-
perfect time to plug her too.
We'll get to it. We'll get to it. There's gonna be she'll be in a video for Team Retro, no doubt about it, and she is very much.
I mean,
worth your
I'm
time.
planning a little YouTube short where I showcase these because she did such a phenomenal job on them.
She's a very talented artist.
Yeah, these are wood. These are wooden pixel blocks. Did she paint them?
Yeah.
We got to get her name, dude. We know her name. We're not going to dox her on the
Well,
podcast,
if you're-
but we need to know the name of her business.
If you're looking at her,
I will put it in the description.
well, her name if you want to see more of her work and who she is, you can look for Ladylike on Instagram. One word, Ladylike.
I'm going to do that right now.
But as far as Crystalis goes, in Forgetting Worlds, it's just a matter of competing talent. Crystalis put out a very good product, but is competing with hordes of others that just overtopped it. If you go through the list of games released in 1990 and 1991 onto 1993, you're going to see some hard-hitting titles. And this is even coming in from the SNES era, so it's going to be very tough. Do we have any other questions from our loving and beautiful audience?
We do have one more. It's up to you if you want to do it now or save it to next week.
Read it and tell me if it is worth our urgency.
It's a quick one.
All right, then let's do it.
It's from Dan Sharks.
Hi, Dan Sharks.
What are your favorite Disney rides and or movies?
Well, Dan Sharks, I hate rides. I don't like feeling nauseous Whenever I go on rides, I feel nauseous. As far as movies go, I like a classic Hercules. Hercules, I think, has one of the best villains in the world, Hades. He is both fun and evil, and that's a great combination.
On that vein of memorable villains, you want to guess what my favorite villain is?
I'm going to guess time itself and the crushing weight of reality.
Yeah, but that's not a Disney villain.
Are you sure?
That's a real life villain. Scar from The Lion King.
He's a goodie.
He's a goodie. I like when he sings versus when the rest of them sing.
That actor has a great voice.
Great voice.
Wasn't that Ray Fiennes?
I think it was.
He's a great actor.
Yeah. No, that okay, so when I introduce persuasive writing to my students, I use the song Be Prepared.
I know.
Because yeah, you're right next to me, you hear it.
Uh-huh.
Well, your kids hear it.
Well, I hear it too.
Oh. But doesn't it amuse you? Or does it annoy you?
Everything about you amuses me.
Are you going to knock on my door and talk about how I'm making terrible noises in my room?
Not yet. Just don't move your desks.
Yeah, no. Can't move the desks. Might anger some people. Yeah, that's what you got to do, the eye roll. All right, you ready to clean house?
Clean it.
All right. If you would like to give us a 5-star review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, that would mean a lot to us. It would help us out in the algorithm, help this young, budding podcast get some exposure. If you like the show, give us a 5-star rating. Tell us what you like about it. If you hate the show, give us a 5-star rating and tell us how we can make it better. You can also find this show on YouTube at my channel, Team Retro. Please head over there, like and subscribe. We are very close to 3,500 subscribers now. I would love to hit that number before the end of the month. And if you would like to financially support us, you can do that by going to my Patreon page, patreon.com/teamretrog, where the low cost of $5 a month will get you the episodes early and ad-free, and you will also get your name read at the end of every video and every podcast, like these wonderful, wonderful people: Neo Spartan, Michael Benny, Dan Sharks, Andrew, Regs, Band675, and our newest patron, Seawag. Do me a favor, Nefarious.
Yeah.
Seawag is a national treasure. Give her a compliment.
I mean, you just did, but it wasn't good enough. Want to know why? Because Seawag, many people have gone through history and time with definitions of beauty. But the problem is they've all been wrong. Because they just haven't seen you yet. And I don't mean see you like with their eyes. I mean experience you with their soul. Because when people see what and who you are, they become better instantly. And life opens up like a blossoming orchid. That is you and your existence. So Seawag, I want to personally thank you for making this world, which is usually a little box carton of horrors, a beautiful place with what you are.
And I do want to give another shout out to the patrons, because there was a handheld I really wanted to review, and that handheld is coming down the pike on the RG Cube, and I was not getting a review unit, and I didn't really want to spend the money on it, but because of our patron support, I was able to pull from that. I was able to get the RG Cube, so that is evidence that your support does keep the channel alive.
He also bought me a coffee this morning, so seriously, keep giving him money.
All right. That's our show. Except it's my pick.
It is your pick, isn't it?
So, there are 3 games for Retro Handheld Game of the Month
What do you got
for
in mind?
September that we can pick from.
All right.
We can always go off script, and we could talk about that in post.
Okay.
If there's one that we really want to play, like there's a game that I want to like start playing now, so that way we can talk about it like toward Christmas time.
Okay.
It's a longer game, which so I don't want to like announce it because we may never get to it.
Make
But
it a
if we
surprise.
if we get to it, I think it'll be a good show.
Okay.
But there are 3 games right now.
What are
Puzzle Bobble,
they? Mm-hmm.
Bust a Move,
Okay.
Wave Race 64,
Yep.
or Katamari Damacy.
So 2 of those games are really fun, and one of them you better pick.
You ready?
It's Bust a Move, isn't it?
No, it's not.
What we
Bust a-
doing?
Although you know what? That was a close second because
What's
I
our
don't
number
know that
one?
there's much we can talk about.
There's nothing we could talk about.
Well-
It's Bust a Move.
Well, I'm not just talking about Bust a Move. I'm talking about another game that we really can't talk much about because the only thing we can really say about it is that the water's nice. And
So what do we?
that would be Wave Race 64, which means by process of elimination, my friend,
Mm-hmm.
we are playing
Super Metroid.
Katamari Damacy.
I was close. All right.
All
That
right.
sounds like a fun game.
I played a little bit of it. I'm gonna save it for the show.
I was
If
gonna say
you
save
would
it.
like a little taste, a little hors d'oeuvre, a little mose bouche, you can check out the Steam Machine podcast because we did play the remaster. I did play the remaster for that game, and so I have a few thoughts on there. If you really can't wait,
Okay. Well, I can.
but we're gonna have our thoughts on Katamari Damacy, mostly Nefarious's. So I really want to know what you think about this game to the point where after the podcast is over, I'm gonna gift it to you. The Steam
What?
version. Yeah, it's not expensive at all. I paid $2 for it. I'm gonna gift it to you.
Well, I'm gonna find a random Steam game and I'm gifting one to you.
I thought you were gifting me Deus Ex blah 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 blah.
Deus Ex Human Revolution. And maybe now I have to surprise you. We'll see.
Yeah, you should surprise me.
I'm gonna do it.
With your ugly face.
Oh, damn.
All right. So that's our show. We will be back in 2 weeks with Katamari Damacy. But until then, I'm Mikhailov for Nefarious Ways. We may be busy,
but always find time to game.